This is the first of 4 public forums that GMHC is sponsoring to discuss HIV PrEP.
What they found when they looked at levels is that the people who got HIV, the cases, didn't have a lot of drug in their bodies. The people who did not get HIV did have a lot of drug in their bodies. So if you take the drug, you don't get HIV.
The psychological, emotional, and spiritual empowerment that has come from taking control of my body, my sexuality, and my HIV status.
I'm 46, and you know, as I get older, I'm less likely to be as safe just because I've been out since 1986. You know, I just got this drug, I haven't taken it yet, and I hear you say, oh, no side effects. Something tells me there is side effects. And I guess in a general way, what is this medication doing? Just in a very medical, general way, what is it doing to the body? And what can someone out here expect when they take the drug? I mean, you're saying osteoporosis long term. What's the short term? Am I going to have, you know, stomach issues? Am I going to have, what am I going to have? I mean, this has never been mentioned at all tonight. I just hear a rah-rah, oh, no side effects.
I agree. Thank you.
All right, who's not going to give me a 30-minute answer? I don't believe it.
It's going to be a 35-minute answer. So just briefly, initial side effects of Truvada include bloating and sometimes a little bit of diarrhea. That's the most common thing people complain about. Very often when you initiate any HIV medicine, remember this is an HIV medicine, some people can feel like they have a little bit of fatigue, they're tired, occasionally associations with headache. So those are the most common things. Long-term side effects that we worry about are kidney problems. So Truvada is a drug that can actually, one of the drugs, tenofovir, can have a kidney side effect, and that interrelates with potentially bone loss. And so there are potentially long-term side effects, which is why when you look at all the guidelines, the goal is really to think of Truvada during parts of people's lives where they're at the highest risk for HIV acquisition, and always to consider when you can stop it if that risk changes, to deal with the fact that there are potential side effects.
Nice t-shirt.
Thank you, thank you. So this is for anyone, really. What do you think can be done realistically with the whole Michael Weinstein situation?
You know, I'm so glad you asked that question because I really wanted to read the whole quote in case you don't know who that is. So, according to the CDC, there are 50,000 new cases of HIV every year, but since 2013 there have been only 1,400 people on HIV PrEP. Opponents to PrEP include Michael Weinstein, who is the president of the AIDS Healthcare Forum, who called Truvada a party drug, stating that men do not need more excuses not to use condoms, and added that PrEP would be a catastrophe for HIV prevention. So I'd like to pose that, you know, David, but I want you to tell me how you feel, but I also want you to explain to me, how do you feel someone like the president of an AIDS foundation has an opinion like that, and how he should be more cautious about what he says, and how that could have a deleterious effect on the community?
Well,
Damon agrees with it.
so, you know, I love talking about this because, you know, for those who aren't familiar, Michael Weinstein has been vigilant against HIV prevention research, not just PrEP. I mean, he was vigilant against vaccine research as well. He's just against prevention, period. And he is the leader of the largest AIDS service organizations in the US. I can only speculate on his motives for that. What I can say is that he's pretty, he just reminds me of an annoying mosquito. He does it as much as he foams at the mouth and goes on and on and on and has all his campaigns that are very anti-sex and very anti-PrEP. In spite of all that, PrEP still passed through the FDA. There's still relatively good adherence that has been found in the early data. There are still relatively little side effects. Things are still going forward medically. All insurance is paying for this. California Medicaid just lifted one of the restrictions they had in his home state to make it more accessible for people on Medicaid in the state of California. The state of Washington just made it more accessible for people on Medicaid. So it's like he's going to scream and he's going to cry and he's going to whine and he's going to say what he's going to say. The more I look at him and the more I see him, I get the sense that it's just more for attention than anything else because he keeps changing his mind. In November of 2013 in a public forum, he said he believes in PrEP. He believes in PrEP. He said that people who take PrEP every day have a near zero chance of becoming HIV positive. He said that in a forum. The guy is for PrEP. But then, as you all can read, 6 months later, he says something different. That indicates to me somebody who's unstable and just really attention-seeking more than anything else.
The PrEP, sort of the subtitle of this presentation was "Have Condoms Failed Us?" And I think, in working in HIV prevention for the last, few years, one of the things that I'm shocked and very perplexed by is this notion that somehow we have a lot to lose, right? It's not like HIV prevention has worked. Every year since 1993 in gay men and trans women, we've seen increasing infections. So when people go out and say, oh, well, PrEP is going to encourage condom use, I'm going to be like, well, what? Who cares, right? It's not what is good. What we're doing now is not working. And why are we not acknowledging that simple fact and the simple need for a new strategy? The second point is, when we talk about the side effects of Truvada, why aren't we realizing that the vast majority of MSM are going to have to be on HIV drugs for the rest of their life in the current status quo, right? Because prevention is so failing, right, that everyone is getting infected. 50% by age 50 of all MSM will be HIV positive. So they're going to have to be on, Truvada plus another drug for the rest of their life. So, I mean, it seems like we're having this conversation totally isolated from reality, which is that prevention's not working and that we are becoming infected at a vastly increasing rate every year. So how do we change the basic discourse about HIV prevention in the country?
Thank you very much. I think, there was more of a statement than a question, but I want to say, I think, no, and I know I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. And I didn't mean to make fun of you or anything. But I want to say, I think as board members, Demetre and I really focused on the role of GMHC in having a voice in HIV's future. And we all know that this started in Larry Kramer's living room, and that was a different HIV. I have to tell you, it's not the same disease anymore. It's a chronic disease. And whatever that means to you is what it is.